Hello, everybody. I'm waiting to make sure that I am live. You just never know about these things. Okay. All right. Why is that getting that? All right. It looks like I am live. Hello, everybody. My name is Candace Shalou, and each week I'm going to be coming to you on Mondays with a little thing that I am calling the Motley Mystic Monday Moment. I love alliteration, don't you? Each week, I'm going to be providing you with a tool that you can use for your spiritual growth. And I'm going to give you an invitation to think differently about your spirituality and how you are connecting with the divine, with our God, the universe, the holy, however you understand this overall life giving force and however you name it. We've just celebrated Palm Sunday yesterday, and that marks the beginning of Holy Week. And this is one of the most reverent and somber times in the Christian calendar, and it's always been my least favorite time of the year. I was raised Southern Baptist, which means I was given this belief that Jesus' entire purpose, the only reason he came here, was to suffer and die for the sins of the world. All the theologians over the centuries, they have put their spin on this, from Martin Luther to John Calvin, Anselm, and Aquinas. They all advocate for some form of penal substitution, some sorts of ransom idea of the atonement, that Jesus had to come and pay some sort of price that we sinful humans had accumulated with God, because, after all, as Martin Luther once said, we are stinking bags of worms. Oh my. Well, A Course in Miracles teaches something completely different. That Jesus, he couldn't come here and die for anybody's sins. Because in reality, that capital R reality, that true spiritual plane of existence where we all live in unity with one another, sin doesn't even exist. We have created this thing we call sin, or as we say in the Southern Baptist, sin, because we feel guilty. We feel guilty because we believe that we initiated this separation between ourselves and God. And so, in an attempt to get back into God's good graces, we have invented all of these religions and doctrines and dogmas and theologies that demand some sort of sacrifice. And it is that sacrifice of Jesus that we observe during Holy Week through these somber remembrances and these ceremonies that glorify Jesus's execution. But what they do really is simply reinforce our feelings of guilt and worthlessness. The Course says Holy Week is meant to be a celebration. It's not meant to be a week-long guilt fest. In chapter 20, the Course says this week we celebrate life, not death. This is a time of joy. It is not a time of mourning, because it is a week that we can take to remember who we truly are. We are innocent, beloved children of God who are created in love and joy and peace, and our function here is to be the light of the world. And if we're beating ourselves up over some perceived sin in our lives, then the light of love cannot shine through us. We cannot even feel it if that is who we think we are. So I invite you to approach Holy Week differently this year. Use it as a way to remember who you truly are and reject the ego's insistence that you or any of us are a stinking bag of worms in need of some sort of human sacrifice to make us lovely again. So let us practice this week the real meaning of atonement. It's not about feeling guilty for some terrible thing we've done or neglected to do in this world. Instead, atonement, according to the Course, is when we forgive ourselves for believing that we could ever be separate from God in the first place for any reason at all. Forgiveness, the Course says in lesson 122 of the workbook, lets the veil be lifted up that hides the face of Christ from those who look with unforgiving eyes on the world. It lets you recognize the Son of God and clears your memory of all dead thoughts, so that remembrance of your Creator can arise across the threshold of your mind. Those dead thoughts, those are anything we use to keep the illusion of separation going. These are our grievances, anything where we're holding something against another person, whether it's a large or small grievance. It keeps us feeling separate from them. It keeps us feeling special in either our suffering, my suffering is so much worse than theirs, or our successes. Ooh, look how better I'm doing than somebody. Those grievances, the Course says, They're like a crown of thorns that we insist on wearing and then giving to others as we project our pain and our guilt out into the world. And this is the definition of crucifixion. As we continue to see ourselves as stinking bags of worms in need of a sacrificial savior, we will inevitably cause pain and harm, not just within ourselves, but out in the world. But here's the really good news, the good news of Holy Week and every week. As the Course says, we have a choice. We can either continue to give this gift of fear to the world, or we can choose to give our holy siblings lilies this week, lilies of love. So I invite you to consider which gift you're bringing to the world. Bring to mind some of the many grievances you have. And oh, yes, we all have plenty of grievances we can think about right here on Facebook. 5 minutes ago, you probably had a grievance with somebody. So just bring that to mind. It can be as big as the state of the world and who you may be blaming for creating all the problems you think you see, or it can be as small as the person who cut you off in traffic this morning or made you angry or frustrated in some way. These grievances, that's what makes up the many thorns that you hold in your heart and mind. They are painful. And so the ego seeks to give them away. So we blame others for the pain that we are feeling. So I invite you this week, use the tool of forgiveness to throw away the thorns, as the Course suggests, and offer only lilies of love to those you encounter this week. If you have trouble, though, because that F word, forgiveness, it's a big task, it's a big order, especially here on this first Monday Motley Mystic Moment. Motley Mystic Monday Moment. Yeah, we'll figure all that out. But forgiveness, it can be a big ask. I understand. So if you're not there yet, I just want you to start small this week and say this: I am willing to see this differently. Because just a little willingness, just a little tiny bit of willingness to have your heart and mind changed, it's a baby step. It's a baby step toward fully embracing forgiveness for yourself and for others. But remember, we're asking to be forgiven, not for the bad or terrible things we believe we or others have done in this world. What we're asking forgiveness for is because we have forgotten who we are. We're asking to be forgiven for forgetting who we are, for believing the ego's lie that we are separate beings. My friends, we may seem to be separate in all these bodies, but on the plane of spirit, we are one in the mind of God, and we have never left that eternal home. So I invite you this week, contemplate the truth of who you are. You are God's eternal child. You are created in peace and in love and in joy. You have never been separate from your Creator. There is no need for anybody to sacrifice anything to reunite you with God. All you need is a little willingness to forgive yourself for believing the lie of separation and accept that forgiveness. So here is a quick summary of the tools I want you to use this week. Remember, Holy Week, this is a week of celebration of life, not of death. We are not guilty sinners in the hands of an angry God. We are innocent children of God, created in love and joy and peace. And we are to embody that in the world. That's our only function here. Also, forgive yourself for believing that you are separate from God. And if forgiveness is a little bit too difficult to tackle and handle right now, ask instead for a willingness to just see things differently and remain open for a miracle, because a miracle is simply a change in your perspective. And remember, you have a choice in how you engage in this world. You can be the source of thorns, of fear to yourself and others, or you can be the one out there handing out lilies of love to everyone you meet this week. We can celebrate life this week, my friends, because we already know how the story ends. Not one of us will be left in the dark tomb of fear, because resurrection is always available to every single one of us. So let us rise. Let us rise from our tombs of fear this week and allow the light of love to dispel all the darkness we think we see. I want to thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you paying attention and listening. Please comment below. Let me know if this practice has been helpful for you. If there are other questions or ideas that you want to explore in future videos, please put that down below as well, and we will. And if you have not yet, I do have a blog up at Substack, and I hope that you will run over there and subscribe, because I'm posting writings every week over there And also, if for paid memberships, you'll get some extra stuff that the free list doesn't get. So we're just building this thing out. So come and be part of this, and I hope you'll join me again Monday for more Motley Mystic Monday moments. So we start the week off with an but go head over to the blog. It's motley.substack.com. That's Motley, Motley, mystic.substack.com. Again, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on this inaugural flight. And we will see you again soon. Have a fabulous Monday, everyone.